Okay guys, how's it going? I'm gonna do a quick video, show you guys our students training and talk a little bit about why I do what I do and why I love it and why it's my passion. But before that, let me just show you a little clip here. Let's see, here we go. My students training, just did the techniques. Here are the advanced students. Those are the fundamentals being taught by Coach Fernie. So some good training. We have Atlanta Open this weekend, Toro Cup this weekend. Shout out to Boomer over at Cage Side, hosting a really good tournament. It's always good with Boomer. We have two students competing. Christian Massaro, Mike Costello. Christian's in the Blue Belt tournament. Mike is in the super fight. And then we have Milo Ketterhagen doing the Atlanta Open gi and no gi. So, why I do what I do. I teach jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu. You guys know me, I've been teaching 15 and a half years, training 15 and a half years. I'm going to 16 years. And I do it obviously because I love it. It's my passion. And I get this really good sense of fulfillment and meaning when I teach jiu-jitsu and when I train jiu-jitsu. It's also like my personal therapy, helps my mental health, helps my physical health, and it's just part of who I am. It's part of like my identity. The other part too of why I get like fulfillment and meaning is because a lot of the students I teach and train have tremendous success on the mat, off the mat. It's just a great way to grow as a person. And so I have hundreds of stories of students who were successful. A lot of students lost weight. A lot of them got out of their heavy storms of depression. A lot of them just became able to accomplish things that they hadn't before, like self-confidence, anxiety. They were overcome anxiety, depression. So it's kind of why I do this, because there's a passion in me to train, to teach, and so there's a lot of success stories, and someone just tapped. That's a part of jiu-jitsu, and so I can go on and on about the success stories. I started almost 16 years ago, thanks to a cousin, Danny, who told me to get into it, and ever since I saw how a smaller guy could control and subdue a larger opponent, and that's what really got me motivated. Yuki Nakai was a black belt, Olympic gold medalist, champion, weighed about 120 pounds, soaking wet. He fought in a big tournament. Hey, what's up, Neto? Good to see you, man. You remember when I started? Yeah, actually, when I met you, I had been already training for 4 years. You were at the high school. Neto was one of my students. For those of you who didn't know me, I used to be a high school teacher. Had an awesome experience teaching Neto and a big group of students there. At Nixon. I taught at Cary High here in North Carolina. Taught at Wake Tech Community College. Taught at Laredo Community College, which is now called Laredo College. So very cool to see you, Neto, stopping by. I even taught some jiu-jitsu there. Do you remember that, Neto? I taught some jiu-jitsu to the students that were in the high school. Did a little group project, and they all kind of freaked out that I could do jiu-jitsu. So after, I taught school, high school, college, middle school for about 8 years, and it was great experience. I really enjoyed teaching, and it actually helped me become really good about coaching and teaching jiu-jitsu. And that was a really cool experience too, because it taught me how to teach a group of students who all learn differently. Teachers, if you're a teacher in the education system, differentiated instruction is a big deal. So I'm able to kind of model and teach these students how to pace differently, how to learn differently, when it comes to jiu-jitsu, learning styles. Everyone has a different learning style, so jiu-jitsu is very big on modeling, executing, drilling, observing, visual learning, and doing other types of drills, techniques. And so teaching allowed me as a high school teacher and college teacher, and even middle school. I did 1 year at middle school, 1 semester, how to use those types of teaching styles and system to utilize it with jiu-jitsu. And I went full-time teaching jiu-jitsu in 2018. My last year teaching high school was 2018. I loved Cary High. I loved teaching, but it was time for me to move on into my passion, which has always been Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Yuki Nakai, look him up. One of the guys who inspired me. He was a judo Olympic champion, fought in the Japanese documentary called Choke. He gets second place. He submits people bigger than him. And the guys were bigger than him and also martial artists. So they weren't slouches. And he was able to execute judo, shoe fighting. And then he got submitted by Rickson Gracie and then decided to train jiu-jitsu, what we know as Brazilian jiu-jitsu. So it was great to see how Yuki Nakai utilized that. He's 120 pounds, beating up guys who are 6'2", over 200 pounds. Common misconception is because you learn jiu-jitsu, it's only a sport, it doesn't work for self-defense. I disagree with that 100%. And those of you that think that have probably never trained martial arts. And I invite you to train martial arts, especially jiu-jitsu, and roll for 5 minutes with the smallest guy. And then come back to me and tell me what you really think. Those of you that do train jiu-jitsu or train that martial art know that that's not the case. In fact, the smaller guy will probably have an advantage over a bigger guy because of leverage. Now, they do have weight classes, and the reason they have weight classes is because the martial artists, it is definitely a huge advantage to be bigger and heavier when you're competing, in MMA, in boxing, or any type of martial arts. So that's why there's weight classes. It's also for the safety of the athletes as it's become more organized and prestige, especially the Olympics with judo, wrestling, freestyle, Greco-Roman, and boxing. And then for those that aren't Olympic sports in their self-respected martial arts like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Sambo, they also have weight classes for the same reason. And so there's a lot of misconceptions about that. But those of you that know me, I've been involved with it for a while. I will continue to be involved with it. We've done a lot of, cool charity stuff with Jiu-Jitsu. We just finished a tap cancer tournament where our students raised over $3,000 for cancer research and organizations. So it's been great to be involved with the community. Boomer over at Cageside does, awesome fundraising for many organizations and charity events. He's doing one this weekend with the Toro Cup. A lot of those proceeds go towards charities. And so Jiu-Jitsu has been cool because you get to meet awesome people that are always helping out. So there's, a lot of people, there's too many to name. I can't think of all of them, but, those are some of the few. Tap Cancer, Boomer at Cageside, that do awesome events, fundraising. And so Jiu-Jitsu has been a good experience. It's why I do it. You also know that, when you compete in something, often there's a timeline. Football, you only have a few years. Track and field, and doing these sports, there's just it's a short lifespan. But something like jiu-jitsu, you can do the rest of your life. It really is for anyone. And if you're a bad person, it changes you, transforms you if you let it to become a better person. And if you don't, well, then you continue being a bad person. Is he over there? That might.
Yeah, but he's walking on those woods.
Okay, thanks for letting me know. Let me know about Antonio. Antonio's here. Antonio's over there trying to misbehave. So it's been a great experience, guys. It's been awesome, and I'm looking forward to helping more individuals out. Right now we have about over 20-30 people on the mats, and I'm going to be doing some projects with I have a YouTube channel that we're doing a lot of free techniques. We got some stuff coming up, some other stuff. Gonna compete soon. Finally feeling injury free, feeling very good. So gonna probably compete at a few tournaments. So you guys don't understand jiu-jitsu rules, it's okay. A lot of people don't understand. Even people who train jiu-jitsu don't know them. So it's fine. But highly encourage you guys to check out some of the stuff we're doing and also take a look at our school. Check out some of the rolling right now. Check this out. These are some of the people that are rolling. Some of my students getting ready for some competition, some rolling. If you guys are in the video, have any questions, write them in the comments and I can kind of answer to my best ability of what jiu-jitsu is and why it's good for you. And that's pretty much like why I do it. It's a good way to stay competitive into something you do. It teaches me constantly to be humbled and teaches me to be a good person. Because as you know, like we all need to be humbled in life. Life tends to humble us, but jiu-jitsu humbles us a lot every day you come. Neto, I remember when you and your buddy went and shared your tickets. It's pretty amazing. Well, yeah, it was my buddy Gino. He went with me and we would do some jiu-jitsu for the students. That was a cool project. I pitched it to the school district to add jiu-jitsu. We did another project at Nixon and we had some students join. I would teach for free once a week. That was really good. And then I pitched actually folk style wrestling because it's part of UIL. I pitched it for Texas and the administration didn't want it for political reasons. Whatever, their loss. The kids end up losing more, to be honest. And that was my big reason. I think wrestling and jiu-jitsu and combat sports have such a good place with individuals. In school districts, you have weight classes and you don't have to it's totally fair. You're fighting someone who's your size in a sport. So it becomes more about technique and strategy than anything else. So, I hope that one day the school districts that don't have it wake up and somebody takes, the lead and really helps coach a folk style wrestling program in Texas, which would be great, and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu program. It's great for the kids, great for the young kids to learn self-defense, to prevent bullies. And it's like I tell my son, he's just turned 7. He's gonna get picked on at some point, and he needs to learn how to defend himself. And every child needs to learn how to defend themselves, and every parent needs to learn. What's up, Antonio? Hey, look, talking to everyone. You see, he's having a good time burning off that energy. Every parent needs to learn how to defend themselves, and every parent needs to encourage their kids to learn how to defend themselves. And it doesn't mean you're going to be aggressive. That's another misconception. It actually teaches you to be very, very calm because you end up training with so many people all the time. So if you have kids, I encourage you to get them in combat sports, whether it's boxing, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, judo, even Eastern martial arts like karate, anything that works on their self-discipline and confidence. Of course, I'm biased and will tell you that I prefer jiu-jitsu, but if they can do any martial art, that's a start. That's a start for sure. So Neto, my friends I have several friends who have schools in Laredo. Highly recommend all of them. I don't know, I don't have their address, I'm sorry, but if you want, I'll message you where they're at, and depending on where you live, one school might be closer to the other one. But I have really good friends over there, Frank, Gino, friend Mikey, and then I have Kike, Gonzalez Martial Arts. So there's a lot of good training in Laredo, very good training in Laredo. So if you're in there, depending on where you live, check out the closest place to you. I highly recommend those 3 spots that I know. All good guys, all good training. Okay. I'm not in Laredo anymore. Yes, get your kids into there. It's super important. Super important, man, as a parent. Get them. Even if, listen, man, be realistic. It's very hard to get your kids into stuff and be consistent, right? But even if you get your kids to go once a week is better than 0 a week. So yeah, get your kids in there once a week, twice a week or more if you can, but if you can at least minimum once a week, totally worth every penny, because you're teaching them something that they're gonna take later with them in life. And, you know, I wish I had done martial arts as a kid. I'd always beg my mom to do it, but, you know, we didn't have a lot of money growing up. There wasn't a lot of martial arts programs. And, you know, for that reason, I just did the free sports, like the team sports, football, track, stuff like that. But looking back, I really wish I would have started. I started training jiu-jitsu when I was 19. And if I could have started any time earlier, it would have been great. My cousin Danny kept telling me since I was a kid, you got to join jiu-jitsu, you got to join jiu-jitsu. He gave me his documentary, Choke, with Yuki Nakai, and that solidified it. And I knew one day I was going to train. I just didn't know when. And it happened my freshman year in college because sports were over and I needed to, you know, finally do it. So awesome. So guys, hope you enjoyed this video. I just wanted to kind of explain what I do. Some of you probably don't know what I do and probably think I'm teaching another form of martial arts. I don't teach anything but jiu-jitsu. I have gotten into striking before. I did boxing and Muay Thai a few years ago. The only reason I stopped was because it took away time from competition training. I also did some Muay Thai, kickboxing. I did some wrestling, not really traditional wrestling, but we incorporate a lot of wrestling. I did judo. I stopped judo, which is one of my biggest regrets. I stopped judo because I actually started judo the same time I started jiu-jitsu. I stopped judo. And then about a year and a half ago, I got into tactical training thanks to my brother David. So I do that for fun. I do that for self-defense. I think learning how to use a weapon for self-defense is probably the best form of self-defense is to avoid a fight. But if you can't avoid a fight, obviously weaponry, tactics, if you need to use them, not just to use them, if you have to, right? There's so many cases now, then sure. Non-weapon combat, in my opinion, is any sort of grappling art like jiu-jitsu, judo, sambo, wrestling, Greco-Roman. Any of those are probably the best type of martial art in self-defense. I might get some criticism for that, but it's my honest opinion. And according to data and statistics, it's one of the most obvious facts is that a lot of these struggles happen on the ground, go to the ground. And so learning how to use jiu-jitsu or any type of grappling is completely advantageous for military, law enforcement, or even civilians. So I hope you guys enjoyed this short video, kind of give you my day-to-day, just tell you a little bit why I do it. I have a passion for helping people, I have a passion for getting better, I have a passion for jiu-jitsu, and it's something that I enjoy doing. And I was just grateful and blessed that I found something where I can do and work out. Like my friend Aaron, throwing shots at friend Aaron. Aaron had a good point. He says that I've stayed in such good shape because I found something that I love to do, and I agree with that. I never really thought about that. So I still lift occasionally when I can. I still run and swim every now and then, but really like this I do every day, probably like Monday through Saturday. Sunday's my day off, and I love it. And sometimes I'm beat up, but it's very hard not to train. So I hope you get something out of this video and get a little bit more inside look at what I do. And if you don't train, I highly encourage you to train. Don't blame it on cardio. Like I posted yesterday, a lot of people say, oh, I don't want to train yet, I want to get in shape first. No, don't worry about that. Jiu-jitsu will get you in shape. But more importantly, jiu-jitsu will teach you how to be calm when you're not in shape. It will teach you self-defense. That's the first thing you learn, self-defense. Punch block, create distance, take down, utilize strikes, minimize strikes. That's the most important thing in jiu-jitsu. The competition stuff is extra. It's fun, and that comes later. But we can't forget why we started training jiu-jitsu, the self-defense. And then the other stuff, man, that's the cherry on top. That's the good stuff. That's when you get into the community. You'll meet other people, you'll meet different philosophies, maybe other schools you don't agree with. That's okay. Everyone has their mission, and they're all here to get better, and that's important. So hope you guys enjoyed this insight look of what we do day to day and how we incorporate some of this. It's been awesome. I'm going to be posting some more stuff, and so stay tuned. Okay, shout out to my students. Thankful to my students for being awesome and helping me live my dream, because I'm living my dream. And shout out to my family, who've always been supportive, super supportive of everything I've done. My mom, everyone, like they never once questioned my jiu-jitsu. They always thought it was a little weird, I'm sure. They never told me though, and I'm grateful for that. And they always supported me in my dreams. Supported from my friends, family, and everyone that's always been behind me. and even grateful for the people who aren't supportive, because I proved you wrong. So I don't really know who you are, but if you're out there and you weren't supportive, thank you too, because you also motivated me. So we're gonna post more content, guys. One little glance again at the students rolling, focusing on their technique, and some getting beat up. We all get beat up, so it's okay. And then post some more announcements of the school I have here in Cary, North Carolina. CaceresBJJ.com, check it out. Also, check out our YouTube channel, Tony Caceres, posting techniques, vlogs. And also, I have a blog coming up on our students who just competed, did awesome, took 17 students, took 21 students, 17 medaled, 8 were gold. Most of my students are just hobbyists, so that was great to see. And we had a good turnout, and we're getting ready for this weekend. We got the Charlotte Open, we got some IBJJF comps, so I'm very excited, and we got some cool projects coming up. So stay tuned for that, and I hope you enjoyed this insight look. Here's my boy Antonio, who is forced to train even when he doesn't want to.
He's training hard.
That's right. What do you want to be when you grow up?
Jiu-jitsu.
That's right, jiu-jitsu. Even though he doesn't want to train, I make him train because I think it's important. And there's a balance. I don't force him to do it a lot, just once, maybe twice a week. Same way
Why
we
is
force
that
him to
door
brush his
open?
teeth and go to school, he's got to be able to do that.
Why is
So
that door
you guys,
open?
because there needs to be an airflow. So you guys have a good one. I hope you enjoyed. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me in the comments or message me. And I hope somewhere our paths cross again. And hopefully by then, we'll have something to talk about, which hopefully will be jiu-jitsu. You guys take care.